What's going on, man? Another Sunday morning, West Warrior Sunday interview with my brother, Mr. Kellup, the Insurance Taylor. You know what I'm saying? We here, we live, man. No filters, we uncut, bring you that raw stuff, man. Stuff you want to hear, need to hear. Not here to offend nobody, just here to drop knowledge and tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, go ahead, brother Kellup. It's all yours, man. Let the people know a little bit about yourself, and just a little something before we get into these questions.
Well, I'm Kali. Grew up on the east side. Humble beginnings. Went to 107th Street Elementary School. Went to Gompers Junior High, and also was a part of the first wave of magnet students who was bussed out of the city of Los Angeles to Valley schools, and ended up going to Pacoima Junior High School, where I received my junior high school education. And my venture outside of my immediate community where I grew up at. I grew up and was raised on the east side of Los Angeles, in the east side in Watts area. My family was pretty prominent in our area. They own properties throughout on the east side of Los Angeles, and that's where I pretty much was raised and brought up. I also used to get sent out to the country as a youngin', so I was able to experience having to go and work on farms and, deal with cattle and all that stuff while growing up. So I wasn't just out here running the streets and riding bicycles like most of my friends. But the summers I did and was able to do that, I did enjoy it.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. A lot of people, a lot of kids nowadays, they won't even know what it is, to experience that. Like you said, the being bussed out, a lot of schools are closing down, so I didn't know that. I didn't know you was part of that first wave. That's something new to me.
Yeah. And also, growing up around in the community, we tend to go to our local schools. So I was raised by a single mom. My grandparents also raised me, so I was able to get so rooted within a certain moral and principle code that I was raised under. So they always wanted me to go out and be able to do better than what the previous generation had done. So their whole thing was to create opportunities for us to be able to do things that they were not able to do, like attend school in white areas or predominantly white areas that was not afforded to us prior to. So in doing so, it gave me the ability to meet new people from different walks of life, people who are more educated, more affluent. So I wasn't just seeing people that looked like me. I was seeing people that, looked opposite. Also, those who did look like me, some of them did come from, well-to-do families, and had other opportunities that most of us that grew up in the inner city and what we call the ghetto did not have. So seeing that early on, it made me realize that there was more available out there, with the proper guidance and education. Pretty much I had that belief growing up.
That's what's up, man. A lot of people coming from the areas that we come from didn't make it, so for a lot of us who made it out and that's here to try to help people and guide them away from that drama in the right way, you know what I'm saying? That's why I reached out to you so we can try to enlighten some people.
Yeah, most definitely. It's important that people see us, doing well, so it reflects that there are people who come from the same place that can actually come up out of, adverse situations, whether it's growing up, poor, growing up around gangs, growing up around drug addicts, whatever that situation looks like for you, you can pull yourself out of that. Growing up on the east side of LA, where there's a lot of gang activity, especially back when I was growing up. I was born in 1976. So I was able to see the increase in gang activity in the 1980s as a youth, seeing a lot of my friends fall victim to gangs, being out here in the streets, lives being lost. And after you see so much chaos, death, and turmoil, you want to find a place of peace in your life, or you want to have something that can bring you some type of solace. So for me, it was being able to get on the bus, which was back then was the RTD, and just go different places, whether it was to the beach or, you know, more affluent areas, to be around nicer things. These are things that I used to do as a youth, while everybody else was, you know, riding on the block and hanging out. I would leave and just go places by myself. I was always like that because I wanted to venture out and see what else was out there. As I said before, you know, junior high school, I was on the first wave of students that was bused from Los Angeles to the Valley. So, and getting on that yellow bus they used to put us on and going out there, it felt no different than getting on the RTD, which is public transportation. So just being able to know that you got transportation to go other places, I took advantage of it. So I used to get on the bus, and of course, you know, even getting on the bus and trying to go places that, you know, bring you peace, you got to go through a little chaos to get there, because you still got to go through communities, and, you know, you're dealing with gang activity at that time. So yeah, it was pretty rough to try to move around the city or go see things, knowing that these things were out there. It's not like today where, you know, you can pretty much get on the bus and go places and kind of not be bothered. But back then, yeah, it was, yeah, you had people approaching you, where you from, and, you know, and where you live at. You know, everybody heard those questions if they grew up in those times. And how you respond, how you responded to those questions, and your posture when those questions were asked will ultimately decide how you was going to get treated. So, you know, you had situations where you saw people get beat up, you know, get chased and stuff like that. I thank God that I never had to go through none of those experiences. I think that the upbringing that I was provided by my grandparents, my mom, you know, and the men in my family, gave me a sense of confidence to know that, you know, I can go somewhere, I can carry myself, you know, as a man, because I was raised by men. And I think once you realize how to communicate with people, and depending on how your attitude is when you're talking to people, then that could dictate the response that you might get in return. Now, don't get me wrong. In some cases, you know, there were situations where no matter what you said or how you said it, they were going to try to attack you. But these were some of the things that we had to go through growing up, and seeing those things happen and seeing people losing their lives, it lights a fire in you to want better and more for your life, or at least it should. So for me, that was always something that I wanted to achieve, was a place of peace, and be able to, you know, be in my community and be at peace at the same time without having to go into another community to find that peace. So we shouldn't have to try to get away from our people in order to have a place of peace within ourselves.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you on that, man. But you know what, man? Like, we ain't gonna waste too much time. Let's get in these questions, man. Let me ask you this first question, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't gonna say you grew up. I know you spent a lot of time in that area, the Colden App area, during a wild era. You know, what was one of the pivotal moments that made you realize you needed to change direction in life?
I wouldn't say a pivotal moment, because there was a few things that already had, my mind was already geared towards doing something else and doing something better in my life. At that time, when I was living in the area, I hadn't decided what it was or what it is my life calling was gonna be. So I was still trying to figure things out at that point. But in growing up in that area, and seeing the deaths of people that I grew up with, and seeing people strung out on drugs that, you know, I went to school with, it just made me realize that, you know, I need to make a choice and make a decision as far as the direction that I want my life to go in. So at that time, you know, I focused more on my inner workings, getting educated, educating myself, because I think self-education is probably one of the most underused and most important things that people don't value, is educating yourself. You don't have to go to a college or be book knowledgeable. There's many things that you can take advantage of in order to educate yourself, whether it's a skill, a trade. So I usually try to keep myself busy doing something that was going to be beneficial to me in the long run. It might didn't show immediate results, but I knew in the long run, if I kept learning what it was that I was trying to take part in, that I would flourish at it. So I would say that the pivotal moment in my life was seeing a lot of my friends murdered in the streets, just losses of lives that could have been fathers to their daughters and their sons, and businessmen, a resource to their community. So things of that nature. So just seeing all of the deaths within the Black community over the years, it has made people numb. So I would say the pivotal moment for me was seeing friends that I saw growing up just passing away at young ages, their parents just burying them.
You know what you saying, that will lead me right into the next question. Living fast and now helping others prepare for the future. What does legacy mean to you today?
Well, legacy ultimately is, what do you want to be remembered by, or what do you want to leave behind? Now, for me, I've always been raised under the impression that if you believe in a higher power, a purpose, you should want to leave the place. You want to leave this place in a better position than what you found it in. So, for me, that's a very vast well of information to try to take in, because we really don't know what our ultimate purpose is going to be in life until we actually, find it. And for me, just knowing that I could provide something to my community that has always been needed, which is information and education when it comes to, finances, insurance, things that can actually benefit the family legacy. So my family legacy is what my grandparents started, because they came before me, and they're the ones who set the legacy standard. They had trust in place. They had life insurance. So a legacy for me is what you leave behind.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, a lot of people don't think about things like that off of decisions they make now or in the past. A lot of people are struggling now because of decisions they made in the past. So, as far as legacy, yeah, you're right. You have to sum it all up. You have to really think about that. How do you want your name to be remembered? Do you want to be talked about as that nothing, what, from the block, or do you want to be remembered as that, man, that dude helped people, which in return, the knowledge he gave me, I helped somebody else. You want to be remembered as that person.
Right. Yeah, I think that's important. I think that's really what legacy is all about, is what are you building while you're here, and what do you plan on leaving behind, and who you're planning on leaving it to, whether it's your kids, whether it's your nieces and nephews, if you don't have any kids, maybe it's your little cousins. There's somebody you can leave a legacy to within your family structure, if you choose to. Some people leave money to charities, or leave things to the homeless or different organizations. Everybody can leave a legacy. It doesn't have to be a financial legacy. It could just be, like you said, education, information. You can help somebody to become and achieve something. That's leaving a legacy. So I think that is what you leave behind ultimately, for the next people behind you, or next person behind
you. Yeah, you're right. That's just like sports, especially siblings, boys or girls coming up. The older sibling playing the sport, they leave a good good, mark on the school. If they did something positive before they left, they'll be looking for the next sibling. That's a legacy you leave on. You got to live up to that name. So, I mean, some people don't even realize or know this legacy. Some people is following the steps of somebody that came before them, in that family, don't even realize they carrying on a legacy. So some people need to focus on that more, because some people have more positive, how do you say it, positive influence on people, then they know it. You know what I'm saying? They have to pay
Yeah.
attention to it. Some people try to force their goal to be somebody else's goal, or should I say, they want to live somebody else's life, be an entertainer. That may not be your goal. You need to pay attention. Your legacy may be something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's all about, knowing yourself and finding what your core beliefs are and who you want people to know you as. It's not what you want what people, what people think about you. It's what you want them to know you as. Because everybody can have an opinion about someone that they don't know, but ultimately, what you put out in this universe is going to be reflected, over time. So it's just a matter of you having a core belief and principles to stand on and be able to walk that path, because ultimately you're walking that path alone physically, but maybe in the hypothetical sense, yes, we have God with us, but on this earth, most of our battles are going to be faced by ourselves. So, the support that we have in belief, the belief system, is important.
Yeah, that I mean, hey, that pretty much sums it up on that. Hey, legacy. Think about the legacy you leave behind. I'm gonna jump into this next question, man. A lot of brothers don't talk about life insurance until it's too late. Why do you think that is, and how do you get through to people?
Well, I mean, most brothers, they don't want to talk about, um, the expiration date. Who wants to focus on that? We're too busy living our lives. But if you're talking about establishing a foundation, being a leader, being a financial steward of your family, being the head of your family, being the man that God made you to be, then it's your duty to be able to implement certain things that will protect what you are trying to build. Life insurance is one of the foundational tools that was used to generate and create wealth in this country. There was a time when we were not even allowed to even own life insurance. We were not even viewed as human beings. So in that regard, we've been held back from a lot of financial tools that could have changed the trajectory of a lot of our ancestors and families' lives, with these financial tools that are available to us now, which is one of them is life insurance. It's something that most Black men don't want to talk about because it speaks to your mortality as a human. Nobody wants to speak about death, but yet death is surrounding us on a daily basis. So if we look at it from a supernatural point of view, it's not that hard to talk about, because if you believe in God and you know that there's a higher purpose and, this is not the end, then death should be a simple conversation. But it's hard to have that conversation with men, and Black men in particular, when we're in the physical form, because we live in a material world, and most of that thinking is based on what's in front of us and what we see right now. So we don't want to reflect on what comes after that. But if you're going to be responsible as a man for your family and protect your legacy, life insurance is the most basic foundational tool that you can use. We're spending money out here on Jordans, Gucci, Louis, hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars on material things that have no real value. These are not things that you want to leave to your children as a legacy. Life insurance is the easiest way for you to leave a legacy, a vehicle for your children that will ensure that you are leaving something for them to be able to continue their lives and produce from that.
Yeah, you're 100% correct, man. I agree with you. I mean, yeah, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Like you say, the legacy thing, that coexists. It goes right hand in hand, with life or death. Your legacy is something you leave behind after death, and something you have to talk about is the reality. Yes, that's part of reality.
Yes, sir.
You have to talk about it. A lot of people don't want. A lot of people leave that burden, and I don't mean no harm to anybody. Like thanks to you set us up with that years ago, the life insurance. So that's a burden you don't have to leave behind on nobody, because I refuse to be a fish fried N-word, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I ain't nobody finna go sell no fish
Yeah,
dinners to put me
no
in the ground.
GoFundMe's. Yeah, no GoFundMe's and donations. We don't need to do that. That's one
Yeah.
of the main reasons why I chose, to go into the financial services as an insurance agent, because I saw the need in our communities.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's one of the needs in our community. And you know what's so crazy, man? Like, while you speaking of that, man, I've spoken to people from, a A-list group to, people from the hood. You talk to people the same. They all human. Um, and something that I noticed is, like, a lot of these people in different neighborhoods, whether you red or blue, Hispanic, whatever, that's making money, whatever y'all do, how they doing it. A lot of them don't think with the money they have, you could have bought an insurance policy. You know what I'm saying? Like something, like minor, but no, people want to invest in chains and low riders, and throwing parties and functions, and even go as far as being generous. If something happens to somebody, one of the people from their gang, we gonna front the funeral. Oh, that's generous.
Yeah.
That like okay, but legacy, what are you gonna leave behind? Don't you want to be known as the person from this neighborhood that earned money? And I'm not even talking about anything illegal. I'm talking about legal, because they have a lot of people who chose to be members of organizations, but some of these people are smart, been to college, work good jobs, make six figures. They just choose to do this in their spare time, but and they choose to use their money in negative ways. Think of it like that. Insurance policies, property. Like, leave a legacy in that neighborhood. You want to be known as the dude that, okay, he didn't hurt people, he didn't do this, he didn't sell this. He was a part of this organization, but he built this community with buildings.
Yeah, I don't think we value that enough. I think that would curb a lot of the negative stereotypes that we see with our people in the Black community. Just think about if everybody had $1 million of life insurance. How would that change the trajectory of communities overall? How would that change the way that we view each other? We don't value life because there's no value there. We haven't added any value. Everybody's throwing, GoFundMe's or asking for donations. Somebody passed away, so there's no plans been put in place. There's no protection of the family legacy. You lose somebody, you can't replace that person, but you can't replace the economic value that person would bring to the table, especially if a person is in their 30s, their 20s. You know how many years of working life that they still have left in them, how much money they could have made legally over their lifetime. That could have been the difference for their family. So, you losing that person, you're losing, a contributor to the family structure. So life insurance continues that structure that has been put in place, will continue on, and bring some value to the rest of the family who is still trying to, bring themselves up and go to school and get educations. Because in a lot of cases, when it comes to education, some people just don't have the money. They don't get the scholarships and stuff like that. So, not having that money to be able to pull from, like other cultures and races do, because other cultures and races, they leverage life insurance as an asset. We use it as a death benefit. It's not just about, it's not called death insurance. It's life insurance for a reason. It's in the name, literally. And we don't take advantage of the life benefits that's in a life insurance policy, like tax deferred growth and being able to accumulate money, tax deferred. And when you pull money out, tax free, like, most people don't understand how this stuff works. So it's a living benefit that you can actually use. So it's not just about, when you pass away, that's a component, but it's how it works while you're alive, how you're able to build and grow your assets and accumulate, value in this policy. And then when you take it a step further and actually want to secure the legacy itself, you must have a trust, so in having a trust and a will in place, these are things that you need to secure your legacy, because life insurance by itself is not leaving a legacy. It's leaving some cash and some money behind in order to help those behind you. But in order to, see that it is carried out appropriately and to the benefit of the whole of the family, that's what family trusts are for. So this is how you get the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Disneys, and all these different families who've accumulated so much wealth in this country and have built their foundations off using and leveraging life insurance as an asset. So they don't have to borrow money from the bank or go ask the bank for a business loan. They can simply get it from the family trust. The family trust can be the bank. And I think we don't really value that because we don't understand how that stuff works. We don't realize that anybody can start a family trust within the family and literally build it to be a personal bank for the family. So you don't have to go to these outside private organizations in order to try to raise funding for burials, education, medical conditions, and things of that nature, sicknesses. When people get sick, you could have a family fund where this is where you pool your resources to in order to get the benefits.
Yeah, I always like what Waka Flocka said. He said, I bought $1 million life insurance policy. He said I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, I want to borrow from myself. Like
it makes sense.
A lot of people didn't know what he meant by that.
Yeah, it makes sense. You spending millions of dollars on jewelry and cars. The life insurance policy, that's something that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, and it's going to be a benefit that you can have for your kids. So you're using it as a benefit, and then you'll be able to leave it as a benefit for your kids. So it's just a more civilized and strategic way to be able to leave something behind to your kids. You're leveraging today's dollars for tomorrow's value. So where else can you gonna spend a couple $100 a month and leave your kids a $500,000 benefit? So it's just leveraging.
Hey, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, not to cut you off. So if somebody was to drop $1 million, say they got $1 million from I don't know where, work, whatever, and they dropped $1 million on the insurance policy, in 10 years, will they accumulate interest? I mean, not in 10 years, but do they accumulate interest? And if so, in 10 years, estimate how much would they have?
Well, I mean, that would all be based on the person's age and stuff like that. So those are not numbers that could just be thrown out there and taken lightly. But let's just say $1 million in an insurance policy that's earning, let's say maybe 4%, and that's about average. Guaranteed 4%. Where else are you going to put your money to earn 4% without any risk?
Yeah.
The money's run tax deferred, and you're able to earn it, to take the money out tax free. There's not too many vehicles that do that. Most all financial vehicles that you're trying to earn any type of return on is going to have restrictions, and it's going to have tax implications. So life insurance is an old method to be able to tax diversify from income tax or business tax. If you operate a business and you're making a lot of money and you have tax liabilities, you have a lot of overhead, the insurance policy is one of the safest places for you to be able to compound, grow your equity, and be able to use that equity to put back into your business and lower your tax burdens at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, And it doesn't necessarily have to be $1 million. You know, some people get lucky on scratch off tickets all over, you know, may win a couple 100,000. And, you know, say you come clean after taxes with 300,000. You want to put, you know, say I want to put 100 grand, you know, get insurance. Wouldn't that get me a decent policy or buy in or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. It's like the old saying. It's like the old saying goes, you know, say follow the money. So, what are the people that are more successful, more responsible with their money, and what are they doing with their money? Where are they putting it? You know, so you follow the money. The people who are savvy with their dollars and the ones who usually keep money over a longer period of time are people who understand how to use life insurance as a tool, and not just something as a death benefit to leave behind, but something that you can actually utilize in real time to be able to accumulate wealth, and eventually, transfer wealth over to your inheritors. You know, your kids, like I said, your nieces, nephews, little cousins, whoever you feel that you want to leave a legacy to or for, whether it's, you know, some family members or the family in whole. That's what it's for, and it's the more responsible way to do it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question too. What's something you used to value when you were younger that you see completely different now?
Going out, going to clubs, you know, hanging out, you know, when you want to go out with friends, you know, I value that. I value going out with my friends and, you know, going to the bars or going to the clubs and stuff like that, because those are things we did when we was younger, you know, but we wasn't valuing our time and investing our time appropriately. Those are times when we could have been, you know, enhancing our skills and our knowledge and being able to, you know, further ourselves in our communities. But, you know, we took time off to party and function. So as I got older and started seeing that, you know, that type of lifestyle, it takes years off your life, you know, being out all night and going out with your friends, and, you know, people are out here getting drunk, and you got drunk drivers riding around, and it was just a lot of stuff going on. You seeing people and the effects of, you know, the nightlife is what we called it. It just got tiresome.
I think it might be even worse today in some aspects with some of the youth. Some of these younger cats, you know what I'm saying, they doing all kind of crazy stuff, you know, stuff back in the day was just like, you know, people was doing drink, marijuana, maybe little cocaine,
now people dropping stuff in your drink and they mixing the drinks with stuff. It's like it's weird. It's a weird time right now. So I haven't been out in over 10 years. So I don't go out to just general clubs and bars, and if it's not an invite or a special occasion, I don't attend. You know,
well, say ain't no just stopping because you see a lot of people hanging out. Let me go see what it is in there no more.
No, because it's not nothing that we haven't done already. It's nothing new. So it's like, if you keep accepting what you've been given, that's what you're going to keep receiving. So if you want something better for your life, you got to make better decisions with your time. Yeah. So, you know, instead of going out to the clubs, read a book. Get on the computer, research some stuff, like learn some new skills. The internet now, it's a double-edged sword in today's time, because you have all this information at your fingertips. So there's really nothing you really don't necessarily have to run out and go out anywhere if you don't want to. You can stay at home and entertain yourself. You know, you got podcasts like yours. You have people that got YouTube channels and other things that people can go on and entertain. So you don't necessarily have to be out, you know, outside, so to speak, amongst all of the uncertainty and craziness going on, and kind of preserve yourself better. Because like I said, that stuff catches up with you going out every weekend, drinking, you know, after a while it gets old.
I mean, it does. You know what? And let me piggyback off what you're saying real quick with a question off of what you just said. Like, it gets old, especially like, I mean, it gets old for everybody, men and women, but, you know, especially with like some of the younger women. We've seen this in our past and it's going on today. lot of the younger women who may be attractive, you know, they spend most of their youth wasted on people who's not going to marry them, and these people are intoxicating them. They doing all this substance. Then they get about 35, 40, and it's like, now I want to be married, but it's like you gave away all the goods to somebody who you shouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you got to say to people in that situation? That's vice versa too.
Yeah. Like what particular part?
Just in general, you know what I'm saying? Like men and women that like in the black communities that tend to waste time in their youth. And then, like, you know, Vivica Fox now, for example, she says she's 60 now, and you know, she don't look how she used to look back in the day. Now she's ready to settle down. You know what I'm saying? Like a situation like that.
Well, to each their own, man. I think some people got to go through it to get to it. So, you know, you got to go through the being by yourself, you know, time to really value and understand, you know, that your time is valuable. So you shouldn't be trying to just waste it and spend it with just anybody anyway. You know, you should value the people that you have in your life, appreciate those relationships. A lot of people made decisions in their youth that they wouldn't make today because they're older now, but you know, it is what it is. With that, you can't turn back the clock. So whatever choices you made back then, you just can't keep making those same mistakes as you're getting older. As far as going out here and trying to date, you know, as an older person and you're single, you know, you just have to choose better and choose better quality people to have conversations with and spend your time with. Because, you know, like I say, we're older now, so you can't use certain excuses once you're in your 40s, going into your 50s or late 30s. Like, you shouldn't be making the same choices in people and decisions and lifestyle at that age that you were making when you were 20 years old. That's and expect different results. That's insanity.
Yeah, well, I've always said this, that a lot of people don't prevail in life as far as they circle, because they always try to choose the circle they want to be a part of rather than let the circle they should be a part of come to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too. You know, a lot of people want to be accepted so much in today's society. You know, social media. A lot of people want to be accepted. You know, instead of being accepting of themselves first. It's like they're looking for the acceptance from the outside instead of getting right within, and that will cause you to follow people and, you know, chase after people that really don't value your time because you don't value your own time.
Yeah, you're right. Some people don't value time at all. Yeah, man. But I mean, it's just crazy. You know, some people will start valuing time more. They will look at things different. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't look back at the time they wasted. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, yeah, you see it. You see it with
can't
the celebrity.
value the present time without you waste it.
Well, you see the results of it. I mean, like you said, with Miss Fox, Vivica, you know, they're older now. What's the other lady? Is it Lisa Ray? I've seen something on her. Like, they're older now, so their stock when it comes to dating, the pool is getting smaller as you get older. You're not the catch that you used to be, and you know, they probably didn't value those relationships when they were younger because everybody wanted to be in their presence. But you know, as that time starts to click, Father Time is undefeated. You're not getting the same looks from men like you used to, or the men are not getting the same looks from the ladies as you get older. So you have to start finding people who fit within your value systems and not just look good. You know, there has to be more substance to it, because once your looks start fading, and how you get a person is how you're going to lose them. If how you got them was based on your looks and your looks start to fade, you might lose them to somebody who look better. So women, that's always been a thing. Women are, use their beauty to attract men, particularly celebrity women. That their life is built on glamour and their look. So, I mean, over time, if you're not building a real solid, relationship with your mate, that's, deeper than just your looks, then you can have situations where you're not as appealing to that person over time, and they may start to venture out, So, I mean, everybody's going to face those situations, with one day or one time or another in their life. So they're not exempt.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And to the listeners, we're sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm coming to you live from the Antelope Valley in the high winds. um, but yeah, man. You right, man. You right. It's just crazy, man. Like I think people just gotta snap back into reality. As simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Snap back into reality. Don't do what the crowd is doing. You know what I'm saying? Do what's right. Just because everybody else is doing it don't mean it's right. Do you do what's right.
Right.
But let me let me ask you this. I got one more question for you, man. How do you balance the weight of your past with the purpose you're walking in today?
Oh man. Really, my past fuels my path in the present. Knowing where how I grew up and the things I had to go through, and seeing the things that I saw growing up, and experiencing different things, and seeing friends lose people, and seeing me losing my friends. My journey and my purpose, it coincides because of seeing death at a young age, because of seeing people who didn't have anything in place when things happen. That drove me to want to be able to find a way to be able to provide solutions for that situation. When you see people, friends, you see friends, they pass away, their family don't have enough money to bury them, and the only thing we can ask is why, or what can we do to help. It made me want to learn, what can I do in order to be able to provide something that would bring value to the people that I saw, going through these hardships. So life insurance and financial services was probably one of the first real things that I attached to as far as my purpose, was to be able to educate my people on financial literacy and being able to educate them on some of the resources that are available, in the marketplace that we might not know about in life insurance terms, the different types of life insurance, how they work, how to set up the life insurance policy, and how to put it inside of a trust and things of that nature. Because these are not conversations that we just grew up having. We didn't have the money talks conversation. So being able to, have families sit down and as a family, put together a financial plan that made sense, not just for the generation that's here, but the generation that's coming behind them, so that they could see the roadmap and how this stuff works. So yeah, for me, that's it, man. That was my full purpose in life, was to be able to educate and help people to understand certain things that they probably wouldn't have no understanding of if I wasn't, able to bring it to them, because there's not really a lot of people that people can go to and trust and get the proper information.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said this: everybody can't be entertainers and athletes. We need people in all these positions: police officers, insurance brokers, people sell insurance, people, black butchers, black sanitation workers, you need all this, so
We all got a lane, man. Everybody got a lane. It's like play your position. I chose to go into the financial services industry. I didn't choose entertainment. I didn't choose sports. I could have went either way with any of those things. I just felt this was more important because this is what was affecting the people that, you know, I loved and cared about in my community. We already had entertainers. We already had athletes to look at on TV. So I didn't want to play a part, you know, in that theatrics. I wanted to be a problem solver and a solution provider, you know, for my community. And outside of my community, it doesn't just stop at my community. I'm licensed in multiple states. So this thing goes further and deeper than just my own community, because I have family from, you know, different parts of the country. So they're facing some of the same issues we have. So just getting that knowledge and information, it far extends past what I thought, you know, I could do and help. So yeah, it just drives me even further to be able to provide that type of information and service, you know, to all my family members and friends and their friends and family. So, you know, it's bigger than me.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right, man. It's got to be bigger. How do I say it, man? We all got to be there for the movement, but you know, it's got to be bigger than us. Some people think it can't be bigger than them. You got to think outside of that. Get out of the comfortability, and you know what I'm saying, do what's right.
Yeah, that's it. Like E40 said, man, everybody got choices. You know, you can choose the right, you can choose the left, or you can choose to stay on course. So it's easy to get distracted in a world where there's a lot of noise and distractions being tossed at us on a daily basis. But the reality is, you know, your family, your loved ones, your immediate friends, that's all you got. So if you're serious and focused about, you know, doing the right thing and being honest and real with yourself, you want to make sure that you're leaving something behind, you know, that can reflect that, you know. So yeah, just people got to just start taking life more serious, and there's nothing wrong with proper planning, you know. So if you plan properly, then that's going to give you the peace of mind to be able to go out and do the things that you really truly want to do in life, and you don't have to worry about carrying that burden anymore.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. Hey, we got a live audience over here, man. You know, he agreeing with what you're saying, man. Like, people need to stop with the bull, you know what I'm saying, and get with the real, you know what I'm saying? Because hey, it's a lot of people out here lost right now. I'm telling you, real talk. Like, it's a lot of people out here lost. Man, you know how many black elders who's sitting here with a bunch of money in a bank account and don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, that's true. I have some of my family still. So, you know, that's why it's about educating the family as a whole, because we don't be realizing, you know, as a family, what we could do, you know, as a co-op. You know, it's almost like group economics. This is what other cultures and races been doing. When you see 7 or 8 Latinos in one house, they're not just there eating up the food. They're actually all contributing to that household. And then they're planning on contributing so that they can eventually get their own. And then you'll see, you know, one family move out and get them a house. So they're pooling their money together, group economically. They're doing it from the most basic, fundamental way. You know, they're not even using life insurance to do it. In most cases, these people are working, you know, regular jobs. They're collecting cash, and they're just literally pooling their money together and contributing towards uplifting the rest of the family. So just imagine using life insurance, which is a leveraging tool anyway, to do just that, to uplift the family economic situation. So if you're able to grow your money safely, you know, inside of these insurance policies and transfer a benefit to your beneficiaries that keeps it out of probate and all this other stuff, and it's protected, why not?
Yeah, man. Well, like I say, man, that's all the questions I pretty much have for you, man. We've been on here for about going on an hour. Is it before we get up out of here, man? Is it anything you want to give the people? You want to let people know about what you got going on, your business, how they can help people, where they can find you.
Yeah,
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours.
yeah. You can find me on Instagram, The Insurance Tailor. You can find me on Facebook, Khalid Omar Kellup. I am with Legacy Guardian. We are a mutual insurance company. I help families and business owners to protect and accumulate wealth, and create life insurance trust for their family, which is Family Insurance Trust, showing them how to structure these insurance trusts to be able to protect their assets from probate, taxes, and be able to actually create a true, honest legacy for their families that they can see and see the benefits of it. So like I said, you can find me on Instagram, The Insurance Tailor. On Facebook, it's Khalid Omar Kellup, Kalliomar, Kellup, Kellup as in Paul. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and God bless.
Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you coming through, man. Like I say, y'all check him out, man. Y'all can check him out. I would love to have you on tomorrow, Monday, which will be live. After this West Warrior Sunday interview. Some people may want to talk to you live. So more than welcome to join us tomorrow live if you're available. Appreciate you. Anybody?
If my schedule permits it, I'll definitely look forward to it. If my schedule permits it. Sometimes, you're dealing with, in this business, anything can happen. You got people pass away, and they might need help, getting the claim started, or I might have to deliver a death benefit or something, or it may just be somebody wanting to take money out of their policy, so they're just asking me, how much they have in it and how much they can pull out and stuff like that. But those are things that, I do on a daily basis, helping people with. So, this business is a moving target, so to speak. So I'm always available to those who want to reach out to me. But I definitely, if I have the time, I definitely look forward to coming back on the show.
For sure, man. Like I say, man, and with that being said, man, y'all know who this is. It's 100P west of the 110. You know what I'm saying? West Warrior Sunday interview. Real talk, don't end. Just take a break. We'll see y'all live Monday, 7 p.m. tomorrow.